This is it, the third and final video in this three-part series. It's where I assembled my first ever season-specific watercolor palette, and it's appropriately autumnal, considering fall is my favorite time of year. Hi, I'm Irene, and you're inside the INCWorks studio. This all started with selecting the colors, then it moved on to painting with the colors, and now you get to see the pouring and swatching of the colors. There may be a bit of redundancy, considering there was that fast and dirty swatch content in part 1. And I'm still calling it that, fast and dirty. Somebody stop me. But this time, the swatching is for the small chart that will go inside the metal tin and will serve as a handy color reference. And to answer the question of whether or not there will be a giveaway, yes. I put out enough teasers, I think, so it was pretty obvious this was intended all along. And I'll explain how to enter the drawing in a bit. But first, let's indulge ourselves in some ooey gooey paint pouring action. Sure, I would have loved to have made this a 24 color set, but I was trying to not go overboard. So I limited it to only what would fit inside the compact tin. Normally, the size I have here accommodates 12 half pans, but I managed to fit a whopping 17 in there by utilizing the space between the metal tracks. Still, I really wish I could have included Daniel Smith's Rose of Ultramarine. It's a gorgeous red-leaning convenience purple, just the sort of thing to invoke that reddish-purplish shade on some of the more striking fall leaves. Why does some foliage turn purple? It has to do with pigments called anthocyanins. Fruits that are rich in anthocyanins, such as plums, berries, and grapes, for example, are supposedly good for you due to their antioxidant properties. So why didn't I include Rose of Ultramarine? A couple of reasons. The generous full pan I have is thanks to a viewer who sent it to me, along with several other colors. So I didn't have a tube on hand to fill another pan. Also, Rose of Ultramarine is made up of two pigments, PV19 and PB29. Those pigments are what make up quinacridone violet and ultramarine blue, which are both included in this Fall Feels palette. So if you mix those two colors, you can get a range of lovely purples, including something very much like Rose of Ultramarine. On the subject of mixes, outside of the painting in part 2, I didn't really cover that extensively. And that's because I wanted to leave some of the joy of discovery for whoever ends up playing with this set, and for those playing along at home, of course. But I'll toss in a few suggestions here. For some bright, vibrant greens, try phthalo green and azo yellow. For deeper, moodier greens, combine blue indanthrene with nickel quinacridone gold. If you're craving something like dried blood, go with maroon perylene and raw umber. Also, I liked what happened when I paired carbazole violet with perylene green and pyro scarlet with sap green. In parts 1 and 2, I was all autumn this and autumn that. At this point, you might be sick and tired of this project. Some years ago, there was a humorous series of shorts called You and Your Frickin' Coffee. Well, this is Irene and her frickin' fall palette. For those who are like Yeah, more. Here are some Here are some details about the giveaway prize. It includes this hinged metal palette, which is not new, unfortunately, but it has been gently used by myself and producer Mike. At some point, I'd removed both the inner flap and the outer thumb ring, and there is some slight scuffing on the mixing area. So it's pretty much as shown in these videos. Also included, of course, are the 17 watercolors in half pans. The paints were poured on August 31st and have been curing since. It is now, at the time of this voiceover, September 8th. I will continue letting them cure for an additional week due to the honey content in some of the paints before packing the palette and sending it off to a randomly selected winner. Now, how to enter the giveaway drawing. I'll try and keep this fast and dirty. Oh my gosh, stop! This is entirely opt-in because not everyone watching will necessarily want a season-specific palette, and that's cool. So to enter, simply leave a comment on this video and include the phrase "fall feels," preferably in all caps because that's easier to see, but capitalization is not a requirement since I'll be going over the comments with a magnifying glass. That's it. That's all you gotta do. Entries will be accepted for the first 48 hours only. That's from the time this video was uploaded. Then I will post on the INCWorks community tab announcing the winner. That person will have an additional 48 hours to contact me via email, INCWorksArt@gmail.com, with a mailing address. If I don't receive a response within 48 hours of announcing the winner, I will draw a different name and the process will repeat. Now, I want to mention, I understand there are unfortunately scammers out there that target events such as this. So please be aware that if someone replies to your comment claiming you've won something, be cautious and verify who they are by clicking on their name. Of course, I'll be vigilant and remove any fraudulent posts I find, but I might not get them right away. In other words, be artsy smartsy, guys. Oh, that email address I gave, feel free to use it for any correspondence. I know YouTube makes it look intimidating with that "for business inquiries" thing on the About tab, but you can use it for any INCWorks correspondence, whether it's a question, a suggestion, or a criticism. Of course, I'd rather it not be criticism, but I'm a grown-up. I can take it, as long as it's politely presented. As much as I enjoy pouring paints, I gotta admit, it's the swatching that really satisfies. Actually seeing the colors on paper is a delight that has yet to get old. Due to its small size, I had to use abbreviations for the color names, so I'll include a separate reference sheet with all the important info such as color names, brands, and pigment numbers. A list of the colors are in the description here, but I'll read it once again for those who arrived late to the series. Azo Yellow from M. Graham, Hansa Yellow Deep from Daniel Smith, Azo Orange from M. Graham, Pyrrole Scarlet from Daniel Smith, Maroon Paraline from M. Graham, Permanent Alizarin Crimson from M. Graham, Quinacridone Violet from M. Graham, Carbazole Violet from Daniel Smith, Blue Indanthrone from Sennelier, Ultramarine Blue from Da Vinci, Phthalo Green from Da Vinci, Sap Green from Da Vinci, Paraline Green from Schminke, nickel quinacridone gold from M. Graham, quinacridone rust from M. Graham, raw umber from Da Vinci, and Joseph Z. warm gray from Daniel Smith. By the way, I need a new descriptive phrase to replace fast and dirty. Yeah, it's run its course. Something along the lines of quick and easy, but not as passé, and vague enough to be used in various situations. Hard to the core? Simply saucy. Without further poo-poo? This is like when your Animal Crossing neighbor asks you to give them a new catchphrase. Thank goodness for that feature, because eat it irritates me to no end. Oh man, do I hate broccolo. Finally, we're at the point where the filled pans get placed into the metal palette. Honestly, I really should have waited until the paints had dried a bit, perhaps a few days, before that step, because for some reason it was a little tricky fitting them into the tracks this time. So as I struggled, wet, sticky paint got on my fingers. I know, end of the world stuff, right? But those fingers go into delicate places. Eyes, ears, nose, mouth, sometimes in that order. I'm happy to share this pouring and swatching session. It's true that there can be only one prize winner, that is. But I hope you all got a kick out of the INCWorks Fall Feels Watercolor Palette project. This was a new experience for me, and it was both exciting and scary. But you know what? There's no art police parked behind a sign, just watching and waiting for flub-ups and questionable color combinations. If there were, I'd have been locked up long ago. Until next time, try something new to you, whether it's a seasonal palette or a catchphrase. And stay artsy, my friends.